We're diving into a world where literally thousands of tons are hanging in the balance, swaying over a constantly moving sea. In these incredibly high-stakes marine lifting operations, we're going to explore the invisible safety net that holds the entire thing together.
I mean, just look at this scene. You've got this massive equipment and a ridiculously heavy load that just dwarf the human team. And all of this is happening while the ship is pitching and rolling on the open ocean. Every single move is a calculated risk, and one tiny mistake can be absolutely catastrophic.
So, what do you think is the most critical piece of safety gear in this picture? Is it the hard hats? The crane itself? Nope. The answer is something you can't even see. It's the language they're using.
That's right. In this world, a single misunderstood word, a bit of crackle on the radio, or even just a moment of silence, that can be the difference between a perfectly successful lift and a complete disaster.
And listen, this isn't just a guess. When you look at the data from lifting incidents, you see a clear pattern. A breakdown in communication is almost always at the heart of the problem. That's why managing it isn't just a good idea, it is priority number one.
So how in the world do you prevent that breakdown from ever happening? Well, it all starts way before that crane ever starts to move. Absolutely nothing is left to chance, and it all begins with this super structured, meticulously planned safety huddle.
It's called a toolbox talk, but you should really think of it like a pre-flight check for the whole operation. This is the moment where every single person involved gets together, goes over the entire plan, and, this is the crucial part, builds and agrees on the entire communication strategy from the ground up.
And what's so cool here is that this isn't just a casual chat. It is a formal checklist. They confirm exactly who's on the team. They even agree on call signs to avoid any confusion. They lock in a common language. They designate the one person who's allowed to give commands. They choose their primary and backup comms. And, maybe most importantly, they decide exactly what to do if the line suddenly goes dead.
All right, so once that plan is set in stone, it's time to actually do the lift. So let's get into the tools they use and the very specific rules that govern every single word and every single gesture.
The team has two main options here: radios or hand signals. Radios are absolutely essential for what they call blind lifts. That's when the crane operator can't actually see the load they're moving. But, radios can fail, batteries die. Hand signals, on the other hand, don't need batteries and can cut through language barriers. The downside? You need a constant, unbroken line of sight. The choice they make really depends on the specific job.
Now, this is where human nature comes into play, and it's fascinating. Imagine the incredible pressure if a lift starts to go wrong. What the research shows is that under that kind of extreme stress, people instinctively go back to their native language. You can see how that could create instant, life-threatening confusion on a crew with people from all over the world.
And that's exactly why the industry has a clear solution. You standardize. Just like pilots in aviation, English is the recommended international language for these lifting operations. It ensures that when things get stressful and the pressure's on, everyone is still speaking the same language. No hesitation, no confusion.
But what happens when the talking stops? What if the radio just cuts out completely? This is where the plan is kind of brilliant, because it actually turns the absence of communication into its own powerful safety feature.
This right here, this is the golden rule. It is the single most important instruction in lifting communications. If the line goes quiet, the crane stops. Period. It's a non-negotiable, absolute fail-safe. Silence itself becomes a command.
And they are very, very specific about what continuous means. The lift supervisor has to be saying something, an instruction, an update, anything, every 10 to 15 seconds. If that window passes, the silence itself is treated like a blaring alarm bell, telling the crane operator that something is wrong and they need to stop everything, right now.
And of course, there are backups for the backups. Just look at these layers of redundancy. If the main radio fails, they have a plan. They might switch to a hardwired intercom, or a ship's telephone, or even an old-school sound-powered phone that you have to crank by hand. The point is, there is always another way to talk.
Okay, so you've got the plan, you've got the technology, but you know what? It all comes down to the people. And the whole system is designed around a very clear, very rigid chain of command to make sure the human element is rock solid.
So first, you've got the crane operator. This is the person in the cab, hands on the controls, with the physical power to move that gigantic load.
But, and this is key, while the operator has the power, it's this person, the lift supervisor, who truly has the control. They are the eyes, the ears, and the brain of the entire operation, directing every single move.
The lift supervisor's role is crystal clear. They are the single point of contact. Think of them like an air traffic controller for the crane. Nobody else is allowed to talk to the operator. This completely eliminates the risk of conflicting commands and makes sure every instruction comes from one person who sees the whole picture.
And to make sure their focus is absolute, the lift supervisor has only one job during the lift: control the load. That's it. They're not handling robes, they're not operating other gear. Their sole responsibility is to watch, to think, and to communicate.
So as you can see, this is so much more than just being a good talker. From the pre-lift huddle to the language rules, to the strict chain of command, and even the fail-safes built into silence itself, communication in this world is a complete, precision-engineered safety system.
And it really makes you think, doesn't it? From the way traffic lights work together at an intersection to the protocols inside an operating room, what other invisible, highly structured languages are out there, quietly working in the background to keep all of us safe every single day?